All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Tuesday, May 31st. I had to make sure I said Tuesday like 5 times over before I started. I kept thinking today was Monday. Great to see all of us live inside the Cyber Group room. Michael, Laura, Andrea included. Barbara, who picked up some money on the MULN just a moment ago. Kathleen, and perhaps all of us just rejoining us. Otherwise, great to see you all. Great to see us all back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. So Barbara ended up picking up like 6 or so cents just earlier on MULN. She got in from 142, out at 148. That was a bit earlier. It ended up continuing to push on up. It continued to push on up, but hey, when we expect resistance to be off of 150, big 50-cent level, especially heading into like the early afternoon, it's not really the best time to be trading. That is as wise of a decision as anyone can make. So congrats to Barbara who took her money. And look at this thing now. I mean, it's just tanking at this point. Is it possible that another higher low is building here and for another push into the close? Maybe, but I'm not expecting that looking at this so far. I mean, we ended up seeing a ton of selling come in just as this ended up recently breaking back below 140. So that needs to slingshot really soon for that to happen. Otherwise, I mean, already I'm not convinced, but I'm definitely not expecting this to make a push here heading into the close with how it looks right now. Now, the SPY I do want to talk about here pretty briefly. Actually, I'll do that here to start. We are following the SPY, the S&P, the entire market as a whole, and with that, a bunch of stocks that were moving from earlier today. Stocks like AMC, stocks like NEO, the airlines or cruise lines or other side list stocks that we've been following for the last little while. So a couple of things that I want to come back full circle to, on the SPY in particular, because about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I ended up bringing this to your attention where, one day on my own studies, I'm just sitting here one night and just using an indicator like retracement lines. I ended up finding a really, really strong historical support level based off of fib retracement. And it was before that price level even got tested. Well, look at the reaction since. If you go back from the bottom of 0809 crisis to the top here, go fib retracement. Well, right around the 23.6% retracement. Well, it ended up slingshotting really well from that point. So we showed this like a week and a half ago, and look at it since. It's been moving up really nicely off that level. So that's for starters. But even for more like the intraday, looking at the 1 minute chart or 5 or 10 minute chart here, right now it's beginning to actually pull back below a big support level that we had lined up. The weekly close from Friday from this past week was at 415.26. So I've been watching that as a resistance that was hopeful to be a support level heading into this afternoon. And with that, I was following a couple of different trades. The NEO stock I was clamoring all about today off the 1750. We'll show you what happened there. But nonetheless, if the SPY, if the S&P ETF is not going to make a higher high, and if it perhaps makes lower highs after it makes the higher high, then I would anticipate for a lot of these side list stocks that we've been calling out to not really continue just yet. So we'll take a look. Looks like an American Airlines dropping off right now from the highs off 1820. Obviously, still strong in relation to where it had opened up today, but beginning to slip off here. Here's my NEO. I was telling one of our students, Laura, just on a call earlier and all throughout the chat board during the day, we had a lot of buying off 1750 from pre-market this morning into the open, and I still stand by that. But unfortunately, not only are the markets beginning to pull back slightly here, but I will say for like NEO and the other Chinese stocks that we've been following today, China markets have not been as strong compared to U.S. markets across the day. This ETF Yin China Bull ETF is making this pennant pattern, and it was trying to squeeze up here heading into the early afternoon. So that was like our moment of truth to see if we would end up seeing the higher highs on those. But, obviously since it is not, it's pulled back a bit. And with that, that's something I actually mentioned to Laura in private chat there. Even if the SPY pushes up higher, something like this isn't going to be as strong. It's pulled back a little bit right now off the 1760 level. AMC's been getting crushed today. Right away after the market opened up, it dropped off. It was a phenomenal short right out the gate. And that was to my surprise, but we ended up reacting quickly and jumped on this stock pretty nicely. But just to say, hey, the market's pulling back ever so slightly right now. AMC in particular is making a nice downtrend off the high. So, at least this one remains, very tradable. I wouldn't mind slipping this on the main list just at the very end. Out of all the side list stocks that we've kind of just skimmed through so far, as a short, I'm saying, dropping off really nicely here. I'm sure we had a bunch of selling from early this morning off the 1450 level. We'll get to AMC in particular here at the end. Just write it down here on the side list to begin. All right, so let's see what happens here heading into the close. But if the market's going to hold under last week's close right off 415.26 here, then I was saying to us inside the live trading room, this could be a short afternoon. Not in the sense of time, the sense of direction of trade. So with that, let's go right from top to bottom here. TXMD is a buyout. Pretty interesting because we've traded the stock in the past on and off of news, but this one's a buyout, so we're just going to skip over it. The MSC trade, whoa, actually, this one's surprising me. This one's popping right in our face here. It's only trading 671,000 shares, so really I wasn't as particular about it even as I clicked on it. But you know what? I mean, hey, nice little push so far. Obviously trading a lot more volume over the last 7-8 minutes since we started this meeting right now. It definitely would need to maintain that. But, interesting little pop here. I'll at least write it down. I'd rather trade a stock a lot more liquid, like an AMC, like a, NEO, if that shows better direction, or, SIGA here on the loser side, or there's a bunch more we can get through here. We'll come back to this at the end if we need to. All right, so the Jan trade, I mean, this one was pretty choppy heading into the market open, and nonetheless, it ended up getting choppy shortly afterwards. Pulled back a bit, just very staticky move up and down, and it was pretty early on that we wrote this one off. So, thankfully, we could say we didn't really follow this as much heading into the late morning, early afternoon. There's just like no opportunity on this one, it seems, right? All right, little pop-up on CTT earlier today. I thought it was a buyout, and it is in relation to some sort of merger agreement, definitive agreement, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, obviously really flat here for the meantime, so we'll pass on it right now. But we had called it out earlier in the morning, little push. All right, so that comes back to the MULN stock here. Ended up, making the push from this morning. Treated us very nicely today, but, you can't keep expecting a move up and up and up. So, it's at the VWAP, which is, a big support level. That's something to definitely focus on here right off 136. But if this wants to make any sort of respectable move heading into the close, it's got to start to push back up to the highs here sooner than later. So, again, I'll come back to it at the end if I need to, but for right now, I'll pass. All right, for those of us keeping score at home, that's 3 stocks I wrote down on the side list. Proverbial side list, 0 on the main list so far. HUSA, we're going to pass on this all together. Ended up making a nice little push from this morning, broke out off resistance here off of 540-ish, 550-ish. We talked about that in Traders Talk earlier this morning, so not much more to it. A little bounce off of 5, so if anyone trusted the whole number there recently off to act as support, well, thankfully for you, it would have paid off a little bit here. So far, a little push off that 5 level, but given the overwhelming selling volume here from earlier in the afternoon, I would only expect this to kind of drop off more. All right, BKSY. Geez, I feel like we haven't really skimmed as much. We kind of just went through all of these in full so far, even though none are on the main list. But BKSY ended up running up beautifully for us earlier this morning, roughly off 240, topped off at like 375 area. Hey, it looks like the stock ended up making a huge push for us back last week. I remember us calling it out, but I'll be very transparent with you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I remember, us making an exact trade on this. I remember us calling it out. I don't think I even touched this myself, but ended up making a big push back from Wednesday last week. And obviously today has continued. So even relating it back from Wednesday last week to go from near $1, sub 1, to push all the way up towards 373 here today, I feel like this thing could easily begin to shake back down, pull back here at this point. Another one on the side list, it looks like, for right now, BKSY. We'll kind of round up all these here at the end. guarantee you we'll get one or two on the main list, folks. But so far, there's not really a whole lot I'm really like as interested in just yet on the long side. Like I said, it could be a short close. AMC, honestly, at this point, I may as well just throw on our list. That one just broke below support off at 1450 just now, and it's like really dropping off. So, you know what? As I say that to you, folks, there we go. There's our one. AMC is on the watch list here, the main list. More is a short, obviously, at this point, but dropping off really steadily. All right, BEKE, I think this is a Chinese stock, ended up making a huge push, more so heading into the mid-afternoon here, right? Popped after the morning, but got choppy and staticky from there. We really wrote this off. I mean, at that point, I know that Rich had called this out as it popped back up on our Benzinga scanners, but yeah, right now it's at the highs. Nothing really too particular about it aside from that. It is liquid, so I'll say that on top. It's liquid. It's within our price range. It's at the highs of the day, so it's exactly where you would want us to see a stock like this. But, you certainly want to see a better push over the last 10, 15 minutes, right? Looking at the last 10, 15 minutes, this thing has just been like stalling out, flat. So I'll reluctantly toss this on the main list, but I definitely like AMC a lot more just, as a short here at this point. But we'll see if BEKE becomes a better long here into the close. All right, so here at this point, let's see what else we got on the gainer side here. Market is pulling back down a little bit further now at this point off that resistance I'd called out. Preparation pays off, folks, just like we preached in class last week, just like we preached in Traders Talk 3 hours ago, right? So EDU, unfortunately, this one came back down. This one was pushing up really nicely, earlier in the afternoon. We saw this one, a little while back as these Chinese education-based companies started going nonprofit and they all like got crushed. But, we've been following these pretty intently since, for a potential gap fill. But this stock ended up doing a reverse split recently. I forgot when, and now it's like $13 or so. Ended up making a nice pop here today, and heading into the afternoon, it was pushing up really nicely. But it pulled back since. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still technically tradable. It's not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute, though. Like over the last 30, 40 minutes, it's really been trading kind of like crap volume per minute. Order book is liquid, but that's all there is to it there. Not a whole lot really special about this one right now. All right, so I think that about wraps it up. Just really quickly, I'll toss in Saba, the pump and dump from earlier today. I mean, obviously, this one ended up running up really nicely for us, but just goes to show once the volume dies off, like we always say here, much more often than not, at least, so does the stock. So with that, this thing completely crashed. I mean, if you're able to short this, then, then it's definitely a good stock for you to follow here for the close, but let's see what we have here on the loser side for right now. Probably just jump through the side list at the end one more time and skim down, all the other stocks that we wrote down at least. But see what we got here. PDSB, it's at the lows. It is shortable on my platform at least. Just check with your broker. But, it's dropping off pretty nicely here, right? It's just trading over 1 million shares. It's trading a lot more volume per minute now than it likely did heading into the crap time, late morning, early afternoon, and it definitely is right now. So, you know what? I don't mind this year. Chart looks a little spotty, but, I'll make do with that. It's fine by me. It's got a decent order book, and for right now, it's showing good direction and shortable. All right, Michael, here inside our live trading room, just skimming at the or looking at the chat board right there. He says SIGA and RDBX on the loser side. Yeah, so SIGA, thank goodness, at least on my platform, this is shortable because this was an absolute gold mine this morning. Dropped off at first, but it was more heading into the late morning, the early afternoon. And again, this is all based off preparation. But in terms of just, lines that I had drawn on my chart this morning, let's see if I can show you my SIGA chart here really briefly. Oh, did I delete them on this one? Oh, no. All right, really quick, folks. You're going to bear with me for a second here because now I look foolish. So give me a quick second. I'm just going to copy and paste another chart that I have. I may have deleted the lines off of that. There we go. That has lines, but give me a second. This damn thing is not looking to change ticker. That's annoying. Give me a quick second here. If I can't get it up, then there we go. All right, we got a lot of lines, obviously, on this chart altogether. It's not just that I'm pointing out to one specific price, but on this SIGA, Michael, ended up making for a huge resistance right off of 1240, 1245. That was the weekly close back, I think, from last week or 2 weeks back even. And with the sell-off that we had off of 1245 here, it broke above it. But in terms of shorting a stock, right, if you're looking to short a stock, you want to short a stock directly after it breaks through a big level on the way down. So with that, from this level started the short here on this trade, and since it's only been dropping. So, yeah, needless to be said, based off direction for right now, SIGA definitely looks great for the close, as a short. Now, see what else we got here for the meantime. I know one of us had mentioned CVNA as a short mark inside the live trading room. Yeah, it looks really good right now, Mark. What the hell happened to this one? Carvana? Interesting. I don't know if there's any news out on this company, but down over 12% now, breaking a new LOD here. It's actually hard to borrow on my platform, but I'm not going to be stubborn and not put it on our list for that reason, right? Got to think about all of you folks here. So absolutely, we'll put the CVNA as a short, especially if you're able to get the shares. If it's hard to borrow and if you know that you can't get the shares to short this, there's plenty of other fish out there in the sea, folks. Plenty of other fish out there on the afternoon watch list already. AMC is still dumping off for right now. My Neo trade's dropping off again. That's been a good short too. Maybe I do put Neo on the watch list as well. But let's see what else we got here on the loser side for right now. Definitely a good call from Mark. And Michael will check out the red box trade in a moment here. Just give me a quick second. I'll jump to that first as we wrap up the loser side. Let's see. NAT, familiar name, but I feel like that's a slow poke. GameStop down big, so maybe AMC is getting dragged down with GameStop. That's possible. Wow, market really pulling back, folks. So I mean, hey, I wasn't kidding about that possibility here on the SPY. Once this ended up failing to hold support off of last week's close, 415.26. Been a short afternoon. Mark picking up right now 18 cents on his trade. Mark, I feel like we'll be following this here together, you and I, on coaching coming up at 3 o'clock. I look forward to that. A nice trade yourself. So, yeah, CVNA looking great. And, yeah, let's see if there's anything else looking just as good. Michael said, I heard Snap was on track for its worst month ever. We'll get to that, too, alongside your red box. GFI, how about this? Dropping back down. It is shortable. It looks a little slow, but more of a level 1 short here heading into the afternoon. How can I not? Right? Looks pretty good. You got an iceberg here on the bid off of 930. Actually, much bigger one here off of 35. So see what happens there first. But 930 could be a bit of a backup support level here on this GFI short. All right, so let's get to the red boxes. Let's get to the Snapchats out there. See if there's anything looking as good. Red box right now, I mean, it's moving up and down. It's trading a lot of volume per minute, right? So I'm not going to write this off because it's untradeable, but it's hard to borrow my platform. There's better shorts than this should this continue to drop off. I just don't know how much more we're going to get on the way up from the bounce that we've had so far. So, if you've done really well on this trade from the last few weeks, then I would suggest for you to, put more of a, focus on this yourself. But, right now I'm personally more interested in, the others so far, but not a bad call out for right now, I guess. But then Snapchat here from Michael. Snapchat down big today, near the low of the day, and got crushed back last week off of earnings. So I was never a big fan of Snapchat as like a company and like what they offer. I was pretty shocked they were like $70 stock or $60 stock, $80 stock at one point. Come on. It's like a social media app that's being used less and less frequently over the last 1 to 3 years, 1.5 to 3 years. So with that, that was my reason as to why I wasn't much of a fan of this company. I wish I could sit here and tell you I shorted it as a swing. I did not, but nonetheless, though, I was never a fan of this company, like as like fundamentally. If there's a good opportunity based off order flow and momentum, I'll be there for it. I'm not going to ignore it if there's an opportunity. And certainly for today, Michael, well, there's an opportunity on it. Definitely there is. Definitely is a short. So, yeah, Snapchat I'll put on the main list here for right now. Looks good. All right, let's see what else we got here, folks. From YouTube first, we'll go bottom to top here. We got a bunch of us chatting here. From Dan, chatting on the LTHM trade. It is down 30 or down 10%, $30 stock, just broke below 31. If there's a lot that's looking like this on the chart, then we'll have to try and sift through, because I'm not too particular about the order book. I know it just broke below big support, so there is a good chance it will continue from this point, but I want to see if there's anything looking even better. Snapchat, I definitely appreciated more. I put that on the main list. Roblox from Bobby on YouTube. How about that? This looks all right. Not down as much maybe, but more liquid. So, if I'm comparing apples to oranges here, I'll put the Roblox trade on there, RBLX. Oh man, if I went from top to bottom on the YouTube chat, I would have had a heart attack just there. It looks like they were squared away with the audio, right? We're good to go on the audio. I think one of us mentioned that they weren't able to hear me at first. Whew. I think they were good. I would have noticed a lot more chat if I wasn't good to go on YouTube there. All right, and getting the signal now. Fine. All right, perfect. Folks, for all of us inside the live trading room, I believe that we are good to go. For all of us on YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with me here each and every day, each and every afternoon. Today being Tuesday, we just completed our Traders Talk Workshop, our live weekly Q&A that we host live inside our trading room. If you wanted to attend for next week or even begin tomorrow and replay the workshop that we did, because all of our workshops and courses are recorded. But if you wanted to do so, just go right down to the link on the banner below right there to get yourself started. Any other emails or questions that you may have, feel more than free to send on over to josh@c2trading.com. But for all of us otherwise here, Michael, Mark, Leda, Grant, Laura, Andrea, I look forward to talking to you folks coming up at 3:30 Eastern, going into the market close. Talk to you then.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.